What is the challenge of playing the passive doll, and is it fun or is it harder than playing the characters they get you to do?
Well, the pods are way comfy, in case you're wondering. That's why I was screaming, oh, the pods, oh, the pods. I think it's challenging in its own way because no one's ever done it. There's no when Laurence Olivier played the doll, he did this, and we can pull from that. You just have to be, you have to create it and talk to Joss and talk to the writers and say, okay, so we know things or we don't know things, and it's childlike. And what I love watching is that every single one of the dolls is even different. They're very innocent, very childlike, and they just kind of hang out and do what they're told. But each one of them, I think yours is fabulously spacey and cool, and I really like it, but Victor's different, Echo's different, November's different, and I think that was kind of, I'm assuming, part of Joss's vision from the beginning, is even the dolls have their own personality as well. So it's challenging in its own way, but I think when we get used to it, it's really kind of fun to just hang out in the big dollhouse.
Yeah. Okay. Well, one of the other puzzling aspects of this show, for me anyway, is the idea that so many of the main characters, the ones who are running the dollhouse, are we meant to see them as villains? Are we meant to have any empathy with them at all? And I think that Topher falls right into that wheelhouse in terms of, he's a bit of comic relief, but he's also, in many ways, what's his take on the creatures he's making? Does he feel anything for them? He sometimes talks about it like art, but he's also treating it like a game. So he's kind of awful at the same time that he's kind of fun. So how are we supposed to feel about this guy?
Yeah, well, like I was saying earlier, it's a learning process. It's a whole growth process as you get the stories, and then your opinion or your take changes slightly, obviously, but it does. And how I feel about Topher at the moment is, he's essentially he's a child. He's little more than an infant, because his intellect, his intelligence is so great. His genius is so great that he is never related to anyone. That he hasn't had any kind of opportunity to feel passionate or feel real any connection to anything until he has the dollhouse. So no friends, obviously. I mean, the guy has no life. For all intents and we don't see him leave the dollhouse, and there's no reason to think he ever does. So what we're kind of dealing with is a kid playing with his toys. And he's in a young man's body, and he has a large vocabulary, and he's certainly skilled with these machines, but I think that's important to look at him as a kid playing with toys in a basement, and having said that, morality and good and bad is almost irrelevant to him. He's in such an insulated bubble that until he was put into our world, we can't judge him by our standards, and so that's the way I like to look at him. But that being said, if and when that does happen, then certainly judge him, But at the moment, I think he's an obnoxious, cocky kid, and the same way, I think you can, and a young kid, an adolescent can be a brat, can be spoiled, And I think the one person he does feel sort of obedience with is obviously Adele, and I think there's got to be a kind of maternal relationship there, But good or bad, certainly, he can be annoying, like I said. But that's the way I like to look at him right now.
So when Echo put him in the chair, do you think the audience was rooting for him to get out of that chair okay, or to have it be wiped?
I don't know.
We're going to do a dial-in on whether we can wipe Topher.
Fran, you were so effortless and so comfortable in that role so fast. I was like, this dude's either the greatest actor on the planet or he's special. You were just like, beep, beep, beep. I was like, wow.
Yeah, no, it's certainly a gift.
Done, man. You get it done.